Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I have something a little different for you. I'm going to be playing a few games against this player right here, Kostey. Um, Now, I'm not particularly familiar with who this person is. We've spoken a little bit. They said they are relatively new to the game and they don't really have any meta decks yet. And according to themselves, they say that they're not particularly a great player yet. However, they beat me on ladder yesterday and they added me afterwards to say that they thought that they have what they think is a pretty good deck, at least for their level of collection. And we played a few challenges yesterday just because I thought it was interesting. And today we're going to do a few more where I'm going to pick a variety of decks, try to play my best, and while I'm at it, probably explain um, which cards in his deck I think are good, which cards in his deck I think are bad, um, stuff like that. Um, okay, actually, it's gonna be 5 minutes, so I'll pause the video and yeah, be back when the challenge is ready. All right, we are ready to get into it. So I'm gonna play a variety of decks, probably one of every major archetype, except for combo. Um, I'll start out with some air. So yeah, as mentioned, I'm going to. I don't want this to be just like, uh, watch me smash someone who's newer to the game over and over and over with top meta decks. I'm going to try to explain what someone in his position should do, how they should play, what cards they should just not be running in their decks, stuff like that. Also, it's not taken for granted that I'm going to win all of these games because, as I mentioned, I did lose the first game we played against each other on ladder. Um, Granted, I did get very, very unfortunate draws, but anything can happen. HMS and Fiat are auto keeps. Because I have the HMS, I'm tempted to keep Empire Strikes because Empire Strikes can be very punishing against um, sort of more free to play decks. So this is also going to be a bit of how you play against someone who you know is playing a free to play deck. AA guns. Um, that's kind of annoying. If I play this and he attacks with it, then I can kill it. Um, which is a possibility. But yeah, as I was just saying, a lot of more free to play decks are very uh like just run a lot of vanilla units, and therefore, if you can have like an early massive tempo swing with like an Empire Strikes or maybe like a Confusion, kill something Ural Factories, it's very easy for that to just end the game. Um, Now, as for these cards, he is not playing an artillery deck. Um, I have seen his deck a few times before, as I mentioned. He does just run these AA guns. Um, and I mean, they're pretty decent into air. Certainly not terrible. Ooh, shelling. I think I might just play the HMS. I might lose one of them. So the AA guns are okay. I think once you hit Field Marshal, they're starting to get a little weak if you're not running anything else on top of them, because they die to sickles, they die to the supply shortages. There's not a ton of air. Like obviously they're good into air, but otherwise most planes are either are like expensive, and you're running them for an effect that is not just going to be stopped by the AA gun. Like this +2 operation effect really only has a big effect on cheap planes that want to attack a lot. If your opponent plays like a JU or a RAF or something or a key, this isn't going to slow it down too much. Um, I mean, in, again, on the plus side, it can kill. There's a lot of different things I could do here. I could just take out the caddy, greed out a little bit. Go play the Spitfire. I'm assuming he doesn't have like a second row. Let's play a little greedy. Usually it's safe to play greedy against uh, lower ranked players. Caddy is a very good card. Um, so is Hellcat. Hellcat's actually one of my favorite cards in the game, and it can fit into any deck. Same with Caddy, to be honest. It's not been great in recently in the meta. It's a little slow. However, it's never going to be terrible. Hellcat is just an all-rounder good card you can put into any deck. But again, it's these AA guns. I think you really need a lot of card draw if you're going to be running AA guns. Or if you're just like hard targeting air because you want to crush air players' hopes and dreams. Fair enough. So here I'm assuming he's just going to like slap like a big vanilla unit and get blown out of the game by Piracy. And that's not necessarily like a mistake on his part, it's just deck building. And sorry, it's not a deck building problem per se, it's more of like a collection problem, if that makes sense. I think I'd rather go for this, play around Stars and Stripes. Like, just running the T-34 on its own, I don't think I've seen any T-34 synergies, so I think he's just running this as the 5-cost 5/5 Blitz tank. That's not terrible. Blitz is probably one of the best keywords in the game, if you're just going to have only one keyword on a card. Because it can act as removal, it can act as burst, you can just slam it on turn 5. I think I would rather just go for this. Don't need to overcommit. And these are both good cards. Mobile defense is very good. 125th. I see a lot more players run this than I think probably should. I think it's a lot worse than T60, and T60 is easier to craft. You can run more copies. Um, Maybe if you're running like a burn deck, or if you have like Road to Berlin, maybe. But I don't think that is. I don't think that he's running either of those cards. So I think you can probably do better than the 125th. Here, just put pressure on. He needs to be able to remove basically 3 of these units, realistically speaking. Um, and he's not in, because of this Paraseed Bomber, he can't just slap a big guard. Hellcat number 2 is very good. Another 125th. And this is why I like the T60s, is this 125th is not really doing anything. I could even just kill it Lend-Lease, which is what I think I'm going to do. I can take things slow. That's actually a way that a lot of, like, if you ever lose a game to a lower ranked player while just playing a regular meta deck, often what it is people will over commit, like they'll just go all face and be like, ah, my opponent's playing bad cards, my opponent's playing a bad deck, I'm gonna win. I'm just gonna throw all of my cards face, and then they play like a board player, and you realize, or like they play a combo where they play a card that you're not expecting to forgot it was even in the game, and suddenly you're not actually winning anymore, and you probably threw a little too many resources at your opponent. 5, 8. So this is lethal if I can attack with everything. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's lethal. So, I mean, this isn't necessarily a fault with the deck building or the play. Soviets are just always going to have a hard time dealing with bombers. But all around, I think the deck is pretty good for like a low rank player. That's, I mean, air is like one of the most punishing decks in the game. Um, so he was almost certainly going to lose that game. Let's pick something a little a little worse. Um, this is probably going to be his best chance to win a game. This is a Britain France, or not Britain France, a U.S. France, somewhat ramp. It's a bit like mid-rangey for a ramp deck. It only runs War Machines. Um, I'm actually double War Machine isn't terrible, especially if I'm keeping research, and I think I'm going to keep research just because I think it likely takes his deck a while to win, even if he is winning. So if I can get to nukes, probably just puts a nail in the coffin. And this card, I was waiting for him to play this. 89th Infantry. Um, I think this card is terrible. I don't think you should run this in your deck. Like, I don't see any synergies in his deck that work with it. I don't really understand why it's there in the first place. My only thought is it's like good into Jaggro, I guess, because it beats cavalry, but like even then, I feel like you would just rather have Sickle 100% of the time. I guess it's like a cheap card to protect these arties, but most cards are going to be killing them kind of regardless of that. This is a really bad hand. Not a bad hand, this is a really awkward hand. We'll talk about how terrible the 89th are. I'm about to get, like, mowed down by 89th. Yeah, so, and you are hearing that correctly. I did lose a ranked game with a meta German Italy control deck to a person running 89th Infantry Regiment. Granted, he's not a bad player, he's just. And, like, the deck isn't even terrible, it's just that one card is not a good choice. Goes face with the caddy, I think that was a mistake. Um, another War Machine. It's literally my only ram. That's very good for me. Because this is looking like a just go for nukes situation. And if you're in his position where your opponent's just ramping a lot, um, essentially how he's been playing, except for going face with this caddy, has been good. I actually wouldn't have hated it if he just went all face. Because, like, these 30-second infantries, he's might be playing around like a we can do it of some sort, or a buff that would let me kill these easier. He runs 2 copies of Freedom, which is pretty good with the artilleries, I must say. Like, it's not the most meta card that's ever existed, but it's not like a terrible choice. I think it's a pretty underrated card. But yeah, when you're in this position, you want to be killing your opponent as quickly as possible because you know what's happening. Hellcat, very good choice by him. Killing this with the caddy, also very good choice. And here, because I'm actually almost within dying range, um, going to heal and take this out. Now, realistically, he wants to be killing me in 2 turns. I don't think that that's possible with his deck. The other choice, mobilization, just accept that I'm going to get nukes. There's nothing you can really do about it, and then try to get me to play nukes on a weak board. If he plays Ura here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, he can only attack with 3 units. If he attacks with highest attack units, he only gets up to um, not enough. Math is hard. 17 damage. I could just add the nukes. I have this healing in hand. So yeah, that's good on him. He needs to basically just burn me out. That mobile defense. I mean, like I'm playing nukes this turn. I don't think there was really. I mean, I suppose that I could just have done like P47 Hellcat take out Caddy if you hadn't done that. But I'm nuking and healing. And here's where those 5/5 Blitz tanks actually come in handy for his deck. Because he's knocked off the board, but he can just like spend all his credits hitting face. And I'm just gonna go face. I mean, this way, if I'm ever able to deal 4 damage, I just win the game. I'm not really at risk of anything killing me. Battery. Yeah, I saw him running battery. That actually has got me thinking. Um, this is one of the important cards that killed me when he beat me on ladder. Is he was just able to get so much chip damage in with battery. And yeah, this is I draw a lot of inspiration from decks that are like non-meta decks. Um, and this is an example of that. Battery and Free Freedom, I think, are two cards that probably a lot of people are sleeping on. It's mobilization. And I think I'm fine healing. For example, like the unitless deck, the unitless US France deck. I actually got that from just a complete stranger on ladder. I just saw him play it, he beat me with it, and I thought, that deck can't be good, right? Copied it down, played a few games with it, and was like, this deck might be good. Um, yeah, so just keeping an open mind, I think, is a really important part of being um, like a deck builder. Because so many people are just like, my opponent's playing bad cards, and it's like, and beating me because I'm unlucky. It's like, well, to some extent, maybe. But it also might be that your opponent is playing cards that you just think are bad, but are a lot better than uh, you were giving them credit for. So this is just going to bring out the second Duke. I'm assuming my opponent knows this. And I'm actually even going to go as far as to, well, it's not quite lethal if I Chasing Shadows this, but I mean, actually, I suppose I could have double Chasing Shadowed, get Jasko to the front line as well, just set up lethal. My opponent's done particularly well. I mean, mobile defense is just very efficient guide. Katyusha is very efficient. 125th and 2nd rifles. And another AA gun. So yeah, my opponent's just like playing what is essentially just a very good draft deck. There's an argument for Seaborn Invasion, but I could low roll really hard, so I'm gonna go for B17. Kind of worst case scenario. But oh well. Now he has to find a way to kill B17. Or put up a fighter. Bloody Sickle. Does he have a 3rd battery? I forget if he has Naval Brigade or not. Mobilization. I think he has a. I think this deck has a decent balance of draw to units. He has a lot of incidental draw with the for freedom. I've only seen one Sigil. I wonder how many he's running versus and like just hasn't drawn. But it looks like again he does not have a way to deal with his B17. Um, if you're in his situation and you keep losing to bombers, you should think to yourself, what can I do to do this? Like, what can I do to fix this problem? Like, get around losing to bombers over and over and over. We could look at 52k. It's a standard card, very good into. Let's bring German discount. Yeah, so you could bring 52k. It's a standard card, pretty easy for you to create, put into your deck. Chaika, if you have them, like bombers, things that specifically remove planes. But it's important not to like tech too hard. I see a lot of newer players who are like, oh, I keep losing to air. So their solution to that is to put in 4 copies of um, the Burning Sky, and it's like that's not quite the solution, because then that's going to start significantly lowering your win rate against opponents who don't run a lot of air units. Yeah, it's important to keep in mind that every card you put into your deck is a card that you will draw. And what I mean by that is it takes up a card draw effect, which is the most important part. So it's either like at the start of your turn, or if you play like a convoy, one of those 2 cards you're going to draw is any card you put into your deck. And you have to think to yourself, do I want to draw an AA gun? Do I want to draw a Burning Sky? Um, and sometimes the answer is going to be yes, sometimes the answer is going to be no, and you have to value and evaluate and figure out um, how often is the answer yes, how often is the answer no, and then balance that out with the other cards. Because some cards are going to be good in certain matchups. Going all in on for freedom. So this is a very good way to just get Flam Panther to sudden strike, which is actually what I have now. However, I respect that because it does get these for freedoms out of his hand while getting them deeper, which means he's more likely to find his mobilizations. AA gun discard is very good. I was a bit skeptical of his previous discards. I think the Ura one is probably fine. Yeah, let's just hit for this. Discarding the 46 heavy armor one. That one's going to be a very annoying. That would have been a very annoying card for my deck to deal with because it's outside of annihilation range. Has heavy armor, so it's going to take 2 hits from units, any unit in my deck. And I think he's handling himself pretty well. I mean, some people might be looking at this and like, why are you just like playing Brit Air and discard against this guy who's like relatively new to the game, relatively low ranked? It's just bullying. But I mean, it is a very like it's a learning experience for him. And in the amount I've spoken to him, it does sound a lot like uh he does like take stuff out of these games. Like it's not just he's like he enjoys playing these. He wants to figure out how to make his deck better. He wants to get more cards, increase his collection. Um, we've seen 2 AA guns gone. He's gonna have the other 1-drops, but I mean, if he plays them, that's probably a net positive for me. So I'm just gonna do this. He has the 89ths. This brings my Panther A into battery range, and I do expect it to get hit by the battery. There it goes, and mobile defense. So Rudo's coming out for sure this turn. Um, I just can't afford to take a ton of damage because I think that is his best out right now. He's just finishing me off with constant blitz tanks. At 7 credits, he's still 1 credit away from being able to hit me with the 4/4 blitz. Mobilization. Pretty good. And he probably should not have played that, to be completely honest, because you would rather have that be in your hand to be discarded. Like on the board, it's literally accomplishing nothing, and in your hand, it's a card that can be discarded instead of your better cards. Buy the sword to draw 3. That's very good for him. Fortunately, I already have my Lend-Lease. Battery on the honey. This is what I mean. Like his deck actually has like a decent amount of burn in it. I think I'd rather go for the Spoils of War rather than the Lend-Lease. It might be a C4th pick over the Panther Ray. Just because I'm really scared of dying to Blitz tanks. Let's see what else I get. I mean, Leopold is just like a finisher. And I'll move this to the front line. It is funny how often the decks that put up the most uh, struggle for discard is these like lower rank decks, because you never really know what to expect. Um, and you don't know the exact amount of draw you have to play around, the exact amount of burst they're gonna have. So it's hard to like play that line between health and cards in their hand. I mean, it's probably just gonna be a slap Leopold turn, because he has to deal with it. Um, I don't think I've seen a single plane from him, so I could move this to the front line. I'm gonna hold it back though. You never know. And if he is gonna play like a blitz unit, I'd rather him spend the additional credits to move into the front line than attack it. So his hand right now is 3 cards, which basically do nothing. Um, I mean, the T70s off of mobile defense can be threatening when played from mobile defense, but 4 credits to get them out onto a board that can already deal with them. So if he just keeps this in his hand, it makes my discard less effective. T70, T70, Petliakov. This is a pretty good card. I can't think of any um, deployment effects he runs. I'm sure he runs like at least 1 or 2 that I am not thinking of off the top of my head. But yeah, Petliakov, and it fits well with mobile defenses. It fits well with the 89th. His deck does have like a decent curve to it. But again, I think it is still just missing a little bit of something. This is probably just going to be a honey Lend-Lease. Okay, now that I have the annihilations in hand, I think this game is definitely over. Stars and Stripes. That's the first time I've seen him play that. And well timed. Um, yeah, Stars and Stripes is a very good card. I guess this is his way of dealing with air. He just didn't find it before. Hellcat number 2. So Hellcat's getting annihilated, for sure. That's a very big hit. I mean, that T70 is going to die anyway, so I think I'm just going to play the C4th. KV. That's very bad. Like, that is potentially game over levels of very bad. I might have to Fog of War that, and then look for U17. Okay. Second Fog of War is fine, because at least it gives me some time. Yeah, KV is like the absolute destruction of discard. It cannot be annihilated. Doesn't die to carpet bombing. Doesn't die to basically anything. It even survives a Leopold attack. And it just takes massive hits out of your HQ over and over and over. From the deep lets me deal with it. Lend-Lease might be better, because I can heal and draw into other ways of dealing with it. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Lend-Lease. So now he draws a second rifles. I can Lend-Lease for a U16, hopefully. Still no U16. That's fun. At least this way, I think this game's over. This is my favorite part of Handlock, is when the game gets solved. And what I mean by solved is it gets to the point where it's a puzzle, almost, figuring out. If he actually trades this, that would suck. Thankfully, he does not. Yeah, it's basically the point of the game where you know for an absolute fact the game is over. Um, like, for example, I could just move this up, hit. I could even move up and research. Hit, hit, move up, hit, and move up, hit, hit. And because he doesn't draw a card, he can't kill any of my units. And I'm not at risk of dying to this KV in one turn. Game is solved. Just have to figure it out. And we'll do one more. I'll pick maybe self-damage. We might... Yeah, we're doing one more. So, I'll try to pick a sort of mid-range deck. Maybe Heinz. Well, not that one. Maybe this Heinz. Let's try self-damage. I think it's more interesting. So, knowing his deck, um, he's gonna have a rough time with... Okay. I'll actually send back a red dom because of the AA guns. Yeah, just gonna start with the sickle because there's a slight possibility of going for a turn 2 35th. I could go for it. I mean, it seems pretty good. Sickle first. Turn 2, 6/6. Let's see how his deck reacts. I mean, it's not actually like the nuttiest thing in the world. I'm down 5 health. That is a shockingly very, very good way of dealing with that, actually. Um, Play out the SU. I might just die, because this deck does have like a little bit of burn and a lot of blitz. Trade's there, that's very interesting. I guess it's because it's the tank. Maybe it would have been better there for me to do Recon T80. More units on the board for Winter Warfare counteroffensive, as well as a 0 operation cost tank, because I'm assuming this is going to die to the Hellcat or a Barrage. Second mobile defense, AA gun. I'm gonna go for a very big unit this turn. Can I even go face? No, not enough credits. So yeah, it actually would have been much better to do T80 last turn. So 1, 2, 3. Well, if I remember correctly, his deck doesn't have any like hard removal. So if I make a really big unit, it's just a really big unit. So let's see how well he handles this. I feel like I'm forgetting something that's in his deck, and I'm about to get completely blown out by it. But yeah, his best chance is probably just spamming guards and whittling its health down. Or if he has Sickle and Ura. Or I guess just trade Barrage. Takes it out. So this is happening for sure. I think I'll probably go for the scouting party. Gives me intel on his hand. Gives me more units to flood the front line. For freedom. And I'm a little scared of playing any more like self-damaging cards. Do I want to hit this? Because I'm like right now, for example, if he has Caddy Ura, I think I'm just dead. Yeah, I'm just dead to Caddy Ura. In fact, I'm dead to For Freedom Ura. If he just has Ura on his hand, I'm dead. Um, Hellcat trade. That's fine. So he has this For Freedom in hand. So obviously you should play For Freedom first. See what you draw. And this keeps me out of Ura range, which is nice. I swear I always hit first rifles on the Zukov. And now I'm beginning to threaten him again. There was a brief period where it looked like I was just fully about to lose. I mean, it's always possible he just has, like, Caddy Ura. Okay. I think I'd probably like to kill his unit. gun. So this is going here every time, and this is going there. And let's see if he has Caddy Ura. This is a shockingly close game. Kind of concerned by how close every single game on self-damage is. Makes me want to not play the deck. Critical hit. Haven't seen that one before. He is still dead to second Shinhodo. P34, and that is game. Unfortunately for him, he did not find his Ura, but that one was actually very close. GG. Thanks for him. Thanks to him for letting me record our games. And let me know if you want to see this type of content again. And I'm not gonna be accepting like just like I'm not gonna make if I make this a regular thing, it would not just be with probably wouldn't just be with people. I've been considering doing a coaching service. Starting that up in about a month. If people are interested in that, so let me know if you'd be interested in that. Um, but yeah, in the meantime, I'll still be doing videos. I'm going to Valencia for a week. Actually with Darkness. That's going to be fun. But this video will probably be uploaded at some point while I'm in Valencia. So, thank you again for watching. Join my Discord if you haven't already. Only about 2 more weeks until I start streaming again. I'll catch you in the next one.